Hi, I'm Bud Roberts, member of the Grass Valley Seventh-day Adventist Church. For those of you who don't know where Grass Valley is located, it's about 40 miles northeast of Sacramento. We're a member of that church, been a member there for about 9.5, 10 years. Our Sabbath School class, several years ago, was interested in doing something for the community in preparation for a series of meetings that our pastor, John Oswald, was going to conduct. And as we talked about various ideas, one of them that just kind of popped into my mind was, hey, let's put a prayer in the newspaper every week. And this would be something that's non-threatening to people, and just let them know that it's just kind of a bridge to our church. Maybe some haven't heard of our church. Some individuals have seen the church but wonder what goes on in there. And this way, at least they would know that we believe in prayer, we believe in a God who answers prayer, and sometime if they ever had a situation where they needed someone to pray for them, they'd be able to call our church and we would be available for them. So the Sabbath School class took that challenge and decided to pay for it. They agreed to pay for the prayer each week, and I agreed to write that prayer. This has been going on now for some 3 years, and we just had a wonderful experience in the community and in preparation for these evangelistic meetings. And by the way, in the evangelistic meetings that were held later that year, we started this in February, meetings were held in September, October, November. We had 40-some baptisms in that particular series of meetings. One of the things we do with these prayers each week also is we make a copy for each member of the Sabbath School class. We ask them to take that prayer, stick it with their Sabbath School lesson quarterly, and then pray that prayer, and for those who will read it every week. Just a little background on these prayers. I write these prayers every week, Wednesday night. My wife Shirley types them up and puts them into the computer. We send them to the Grass Valley newspaper, the Union, and they publish them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Here's a sample of the Union paper from Grass Valley. As you can see the page, and right down here is our prayer time. We have requested that they put it on page 3 somewhere in my ministry, and I learned that page 3 is a very easy page to look at and perhaps one of the most frequently noticed prayer pages. And so we've asked the prayer to be placed there, and they usually do it most consistently. That way the people get to know where it is each week, and they can see it there and find it without much difficulty. We try to make them personal. I've done some for truck drivers, for doctors, for nurses, for students, for school administrators, and so forth. And the response has been very, very encouraging. I did one on nurses one time, and we received the next week, we received a card from one of the nurses at the hospital there. She said, "Thank you for your prayer. We nurses need people praying for us, and your prayer brought such courage and strength to us." Another one I wrote was on the topic of reconciliation. A husband and a wife in our Sabbath School class were having some difficulties. They had gotten into an argument. They opened up the newspaper and read the prayer on reconciliation. They said it just turned our lives around and it helped to reconcile us. So those have been encouraging comments to us as the Spirit of God has been leading individuals' lives. We've had one lady call just broken-hearted. She said, called the church office, she said, "Would you please pray for me? I just read your prayer and I need someone to pray for me." As I mentioned earlier, we had this baptism of 42 individuals. That day, 2 individuals entered the church that I had never seen before. One of our members, Melanie Stacer, met them after church, introduced herself to them, and they said, "Well, we've been reading these prayers that your church publishes in the paper, and we just wanted to come today to see what this church was like." And they were greatly impressed with the baptism that we had that particular day. Those have been some of the responses that we've received that have encouraged us to carry on. Our Sabbath School class has been the financial backbone of this project. It costs us approximately $600 a month. We've been doing it, as I said, for 3 years, and so it's getting up pretty close to $20,000 in these 3 years that this Sabbath School class has financially supported this project. Over the years, as we have published these prayers, my wife Shirley has put them in a little booklet here. As you can see, it's published by the Sabbath School class of Grass Valley. Here's a table of content, gives you the newspaper and so forth, all the pertinent information, and then a list of the topics: government official, family, homes, schools, and so forth, holidays, veterans, and just any topic that would perhaps happens to be in the calendar for that week. We try to center it around those particular holidays. If this is something you think your Sabbath School class or your church would be interested in, click on the link below. You'll receive the information as to how you can do this in your community.